afternoon, members. We are now in public session. I would take this opportunity to welcome you all to the meeting of the Northern Ireland Assembly Public Accounts Committee. And I would take this opportunity to wish everyone a very happy new year. Members, mobile phones must be set to airplane mode or turned off. It is not sufficient to put mobiles on silent as they continue to interfere with the Assembly recording. The session is being recorded in video and audio and can be accessed live online streaming on the Assembly website or Democracy Live. So agenda item 1 then is apologies. Any apologies this afternoon? I'll apologise for Mr. Hilditch, and can I also say Mr. Irwin has informed me that he's obviously joined the meeting, but will have to leave the meeting about 3 o'clock because he has to attend the Agriculture Committee. Okay. So in terms of, I think these notes are right. Agenda item 2 then is the minutes of the 16th of December, pages 7 to 15 of your pack. Are members content that I sign these minutes as being accurate? Agreed? Thank you. Okay, and agenda item 3 then is the declaration of members' interests. Members, at each meeting you're required to register relevant financial or other interests in the register of members' interests. Today's subject matters include addiction services, the justice system and investment in broadband. Do any members therefore have any interest they wish to declare this afternoon? Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4 then, matters arising. Any member, any matters they wish to raise following the minutes? Agreed. Agenda item 5 is correspondence, which is at pages 19 to 138 of your pack. And I'm delighted this afternoon to welcome Mr. Kieran Donnelly, CB, the Comptroller and Auditor General for Northern Ireland, Thomas Wilkinson, Director, Mr. Roger McCants, Audit Manager, and remotely joining us, Mr. Kyle Bingham, Assembly Support Officer. You're all very welcome, gentlemen. Members, are referred to correspondence, pages 19 to 20 of your pack dated the 22nd of December from Brandon Lewis, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, regarding recommendation 11 within the PAC's report, Capacity and Capability in Northern Ireland Civil Service. Recommendation 11 states the Committee recommends the Commissioners for Northern Ireland explore with the Northern Ireland Civil Service how they can best support the delivery of change and transformation in recruitment and selection processes and other related areas. Mr. Lewis is welcome to report, however, regarding the MOU. He considers it for the Commissioners and for the Northern Ireland Civil Service to decide if an MOU is necessary. He also asked that his officials should engage with the Civil Service Commissioners and Ms Jane Brady, the new head of the Civil Service, on this matter and how best any future changes would protect the Commissioners' independence. Members, are you content to note this and recommend it in the end of session report that the new PAC will then take forward? Agreed? Agreed. Okay, thank you. Members, are referred to correspondence at pages 21 to 138 in your pack dated the 10th of January to Mr. Kieran Donnelly at the Audit Office from Mr. Doody Hart, Assistant Secretary of NIPSA, regarding a complaint by a member of the public and who is now a retired employee from the Department of Communities. I would, at this stage, indicate to the committee that we would deal with this matter in any other business. Members agreed? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Members, are referred to correspondence dated the 11th of January 2022 from Ms Tracy Maharg, the Accounting Officer and Permanent Secretary of the Department of Communities, in the table pack on page 3 regarding Sport NI Board having the authority to award funding of £500,000 or more, but also seek approval from the Department for these awards. Ms Maharg states that the authority for the Board to approve the award of funding of 500,000 or more is an internal delegation within Sport NI and is set out in the organisation's scheme of delegation. Ms Maharg is content with these arrangements and states that the management statement and financial memorandum is in place in accordance with the Managing Public Money in Northern Ireland. Any members, any comment they wish to make on that?
The issue is the degree of delegation that the board gives to the chief executive rather than delegation from the department to the body.
My understanding was, if I'm right, that Miss Maharg had the power for the £500,000, not the board, which I think is more or less the same thing you're saying. Yeah. Is my understanding of that wrong?
No, I don't know if it's a coincidence that at both sides it's 500,000.
Yeah.
She doesn't actually say that explicitly here. So she said the board things for the board is Sport NI. So it does comply with the rules, but I suppose it's a bit odd that the limit for going to the board is the same as the limit for going to the department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think below 500,000 it can be done by Mrs. McKeown.
Yes.
She's and then anything over 500,000 has to go to the board and the department. And the size of the limits wouldn't be unusual, I don't think, for organisations that size.
Okay. Well, you've seen and read the correspondence from the Permanent Secretary. Members content to note? Okay, members, we will remain in open session for the next agenda item, memorandum of our 8th report, speeding up the justice system. And can we please bring in Mr Neil Gray, Director from the Northern Ireland Audit Office, who's joining us remotely. Good afternoon, Neil. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon and very happy New Year to you. Okay, members, then we move to agenda.
To you.
Thank you. Agenda item 6 then, speeding up the justice system, pages 137 to 144 of your pack, and basically regarding the Memorandum of Reply and the 8th inquiry, speeding up justice system, the MOR was laid in the Assembly on the 21st of December 2021 by the Minister of Finance. There were 6 recommendations coming out of the report which have all been accepted or accepted in principle by the Department and on behalf of the relevant justice organisation. The 2 recommendations accepted in principle are the following. Recommendation 3, that the committee the committee recommends that the Department and other justice organisations develop a proportionate methodology to quantify the financial impact of the avoidable delay and track over time the financial savings that are achieved as a result of the improvements they are striving to deliver. The Department of Justice accepts this recommendation in principle on behalf of the relevant justice organisations on the basis that the delivery will be subject to the success of enabling work to allow such measurement. Before we move on to the second recommendation of the agreed in principle, are members content with that? Yeah, I take silence as agreement. Mr Donnelly, or in particular Mr Gray, have you anything you want to say around that?
Chair, I'm happy to comment on that. I think if we go back to the session, there was great reluctance on the part of the witnesses to commit to some financial measurement along the lines that the committee was very strongly recommending at the time. And I think that comes through in this response. That said, I think having accepted it in principle, the department has committed itself to exploring exactly how it's going to do this, which, in all fairness, I think is probably the right outcome so far. Obviously, if the department were to undertake some work, discover that it was feasible to do it, and then not complete it, I think we might have an issue to discuss with them. But at this stage, this is probably the best outcome that we could have expected.
Okay. Content. Okay, then moving on. Recommendation 5, the committee recommends that the department should, as a priority, introduce a legislative requirement for a general duty of engagement and pre-hearing communication between the prosecution and the defence in all Crown Court cases. The DOJ accepts this recommendation in principle, subject to the detailed design work to establish a workable way to implement the approach advocated. Again, any comment or concerns, queries on that?
My only comment I would make is they're putting caveats in, but my understanding this is already happening in other judicial areas, you know, in GB. So as long as it's not being used as an excuse for doing nothing. Yeah.
Mr. Gray?
I think that's a fair observation, Chair. That said, they will need to have a look at the legislation. That will inevitably take time. This isn't a response that I think, again, should really worry the committee. It will take time to do, but once we get to a position where there is a statutory responsibility for early engagement, that will go a long way towards dealing with some of the problems that we've all been briefed upon.
Yeah. Okay, well, members, having heard from the Deputy Chair and from Mr. Gray, who presented the report to us all that time ago, are you content that with the contributions that have been made, that perhaps a watching brief is taken on board in relation to the recommendation 5? I think that's the best thing. Okay, agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Members, I have to say at this stage that I think the PAC has taken this work as far as it can, and it's now for the Statutory Committee, in this case the Justice Committee, to progress this strand of work should it deem it necessary. Are you content that we write to the Justice Committee to inform that this committee, the PAC, has concluded its consideration of this inquiry and that it no longer has supremacy over this matter and now refers it to the Justice Committee for its consideration?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Okay, members, with your permission then we will go into closed session for the next agenda item, which is a briefing on broadband investment in Northern Ireland, and we will remain in closed session for the remainder of the meeting. Thank you.
This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30.